Hey y'all, welcome to episode 34 with your host Annábla. It's so good to be back. I had a little hiatus last week, unplanned, unfortunately, because I came back from my vacation. I was sick, so I didn't have an episode. I was out of town. There was no episode. I didn't pre-record anything because January was very busy for me. And then the week after I came back in town, I released an episode, and then that Thursday that the episode came out on, the 13th, I got hit by a car. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this episode, and just clarify things for anybody that was interested. I briefly posted about it on my story, but I didn't really want to talk about it much until I had this, pod as like a long form format to like really explain everything to everyone. But yeah, so it has been a week, to say the least. So yeah, that happened on the 13th. Basically, I'll start from the beginning. I got invited to a friend's like birthday hang at a bar in Los Feliz, and so I went after work. I got off work around 8 and I went to the bar, hung out, was chatting with some people, catching up with people, meeting new people, just gabbing. I got there around like 9-ish, like maybe a little after 9, and the previous week had been on a cruise with the unlimited drink package, so I was giving myself a break from alcohol. I was not drinking because I had gone a little crazy on the cruise. So I just got like a ginger ale from the bar, and the bartender was really nice. Like he was like, "Oh, this first round's on me, but like you got the next one." So that was very sweet, probably because I was the only one ordering a non-alcoholic drink. So just sipping on my ginger ale. I had been there for probably like an hour, and then to preface, it was raining this day in LA, and so the bar had like the heater blasted, and it was pretty warm inside, and I had a jacket over like long sleeves and jeans, but I took the jacket off and I was still warm. So I went outside to get some air, and a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a long time, hadn't talked to in a long time, we used to play together, and we were, standing outside just like chatting, catching up. And literally out of nowhere, like it didn't even have a warning in my peripheral vision or anything. Just all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was getting hit by a car, which was like the craziest thing ever. If anybody else has been like hit by a car, or like even just in a car accident, it's like so intense. I remember the first impact on like my left side, and my vision just instantly went like blurry and kind of like fuzzy, and like I got kind of dizzy, obviously. And I remember feeling like numbness and like tingling, like a tingling sensation throughout my entire body. And then I don't really remember like what happened after that initial hit. My friend that was there that was talking to me said that I might have landed face down, but I don't remember that, which is crazy. So I probably fainted, and I was just like in shock. But I didn't feel like any pain in that initial hit, like when I got hit. I remember like being on the ground after, laying on my back and feeling a lot of pain in my butt and my left knee and my left elbow. And then the crazy part is that after the car hit me, it slammed into the building like of the bar where like the party was happening. So it was just the craziest thing ever. Thank God that like everyone else was safe, like no one inside got injured. But yeah, it was like the crazy experience ever. And after I kind of like came to and I was like laying on the ground and like obviously just in plain shock, I was super clear-headed. And I remember everything after that point because the adrenaline was so strong. I mean, my heart was like pounding. I was just like heavy breathing, and at that point, like on the floor, I was in a lot of pain because most of the damage was to like my tush, and now I'm still kind of dealing with tailbone pain. I mean, I'll update y'all on like the full process of the aftermath and what I felt and everything. But in that moment, it hurt really bad to lay down, and I didn't think I hit my head. Luckily, one of the birthday girls, like friends, is an EMT, so like he came over and like talked to me and kind of checked me out. But I was in a lot of pain laying down, so I got up because it hurt to like lay on my butt. Moved over to like a booth so that I would have like something softer to lay on, but I was still just in complete shock, in a lot of pain from having to sit, and just totally shook up. I mean, that's like really the biggest takeaway was that I was just in complete shock. I was just in complete shock. I could not believe what had just happened. It didn't feel real. Like I was like, that did not just happen. Like, you're kidding me. And I could tell that I wasn't like, I mean, I thought at that point that I didn't have any like really bad injuries. So I was just like in disbelief that I like survived it, and that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can get up and walk and I'm not like crying in pain right now. I mean, I'm in pain, but like I didn't feel like I had broken anything. I mean, I don't know. I felt like scrapes and stuff, but I was just, I didn't know, I didn't even know how I felt. And that was like the craziest thing. Obviously, the driver was like very apologetic and like panicking, like rightfully so, like anybody would be. But like obviously the like ambulance came, because I was like, I should probably like go to the hospital and get checked out. Like, my mom's a nurse, and when the EMTs got there, they were like, oh, do you want to go to the hospital? And I was like, yeah, I think my mom's a nurse. She'd probably kill me if I didn't like at least go get checked out. And so I did, but like they're asking me all these questions like, oh, do you feel this? Do you feel this? And like I really only felt pain in those 3 spots in that moment. So that's all I could say. But really, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I was just in total shock that I didn't know what else to say. And so when I was in the ER, all I really felt was like, it was just really hard. They put me on like the gurney, and they put like a collar on me, like a neck brace on me and stuff. But it was just very uncomfortable, and I was in a lot of pain having to lay on my back because my tush was like clearly injured. Like that was like most of the discomfort. So when I got to the ER, they checked my neck really well and my spine, and then they did a CT scan of like my abdomen and my groin because I felt like pain kind of in my left, like lower stomach. And I wasn't sure if it was from, that initial impact. Like I couldn't tell if it was like my hip or if it was like internal, but I was just feeling like general like pain there. And obviously my tush. So like, I was trying to stand or lay on my side or my stomach because it was really uncomfortable to lay on my butt. Like it hurt so bad. And they gave me, they think they gave me a Norco, but I feel like it didn't help at all. The pain was like for sure like a 10, like an 8 or 9 or a 10. And it, barely went down with that medication. It just kind of made me sleepy. So that was really, really gnarly. Being in the ER, and then the neck brace was like super uncomfortable. I couldn't get comfortable basically. So I was up all night, and this was like 10:30 at night or something that this happened. And then I was in the ER all the way till 5 a.m. I mean, luckily the CT didn't show any like internal bleeding or like a lot of damage, like internally. So I was in a lot of pain and like bruised up and like really shook up and messed up, but I was not in like critical condition, so I was clear for discharge. So I went home at like 5 a.m. and then got home and like honestly just tried to sleep, but at that point I think my body was so like exhausted from just like the shock of it all that I slept like most of that day. And it was sad because it was Valentine's Day. Just such a bummer. And like I called my boyfriend, like FaceTimed him like when I was in the ER, and we like talked and stuff, but it was just a bummer. It like totally obviously ruined my Valentine's Day. So that sucked. But my boyfriend was very like loving and supportive and nervous obviously for me, and sending me a lot of messages and asking for updates and just like on top of it. So at least I still felt like loved, you feel me, and supported. But yeah, it was really, really gnarly. That first like 24 hours after was just a lot. Still, I feel like was in shock. And then after that shock wore off, after I finally got some rest, I started to feel more pain. So it was like freaky for me, like mentally, because I was like, oh, I wish that I had like felt these things in the ER, and then I would have been able to communicate the additional pains that I had. Like my neck really started to hurt on the right side, and I couldn't, like when I was laying in bed, I couldn't like lift up my own head with my own strength. Like I literally had to like put a hand behind my head to lift it, literally to lift it up, like with my arm. I couldn't do it alone in order to like readjust and get comfortable, which was really hard to do. My left knee started hurting more. I found more bruises all over. I had like a really big bruise that I still have now on the back of my right calf. Just bruises turning up on my back, on, you know, bigger one on my hip, and my tush was bruised, and it was this massive bruise on both of my cheeks. Really, really gnarly. And then I couldn't even like, it was more comfortable for me to stand because laying down like hurt a lot, but I couldn't bend over. I couldn't like sitting down on the toilet was a struggle and painful, and I couldn't like sit normal. Even right now, like to this day, and what is it, the 26th, I'm still feeling discomfort when I sit like a certain way. Like I have to like, right now, even in this chair, I have to like sit with a certain like kind of posture and hold it in order to not feel pain in my tailbone. But yeah, so I, you know, the days following, like new pains were popping up, and I was just like really uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep. I ended up going to urgent care because I couldn't get an appointment with my primary doctor, because of the neck pain, and the tailbone just like kept getting worse. And so I was worried that, you know, there was something wrong with my neck. And so they ordered a CT of my neck, and luckily everything was like normal. It was just like muscle strain, you know, just like probably just like whiplash, you know, from literally being hit by a car. And like my friend I was talking to that witnessed it was like, yeah, your body like folded weird, like obviously like you got thrown all crazy. And I like flew when the car hit me. I got honestly really lucky that like I flew, I don't know, maybe max of 10 feet. I don't know how far it was. Like I barely remember, but I got thrown, and you know, I could have been pinned. I got really, really lucky because the car hit the building after, and I was lucky that I got thrown and I didn't get stuck between the car and the building. So obviously could have been way worse. I'm grateful it wasn't, but yeah, I mean, go figure, I'm going to have like all these new feelings after the fact. Once my body was able to kind of like relax, and once that adrenaline was gone, and like kind of masking that pain, and I started to feel more of the pains, like of course, you know, new things are going to pop up. But so I went to urgent care, got the CT the next morning, and like my neck was good, just like muscle, you know, strain for sure. But to this day, like I'm still feeling a lot of pain in my tailbone, and a lot of discomfort. I like missed work all last week. Well, I did teaching from home, but I'm lucky that I am able to do that a little bit. You know, not all students are like gonna do online lessons, but I have a standing desk. So I was able to like kind of find a comfortable posture, standing. But the weird thing, pretty much all of last week was like, even when I was standing or like laying a certain way, I would feel like a lot of numbness and tingling like in my feet and legs. And I still kind of feel it now, like at certain angles. If I like lay a certain way, I feel it still. And I don't know if it's like nerve damage from like the intense bruising, or what, but that was like the craziest thing to me, was that I was just like, if I would stand for too long, I would feel it. If I would lay for too long, I would feel it. I couldn't even sit like normal, like on my butt, like I am now, pretty much all of last week. And so it was just a very like annoying, taxing, like mentally just like irritating week. Because I'm like a relatively, like I'm an able-bodied person, normally. I am very active. I'm like limber. I'm not like, I'm used to being able to do whatever I want with my body and it being able to do it, so being in a position where like I couldn't, like I had to like get my mom to help me shower the first time I showered after the accident. Like I couldn't do certain things myself. So that was just like crazy mentally, like having to do that. And just that whole week, like trying to just do basic things. I mean, it slowly got easier as the pain decreased, but I mean, I was having trouble sleeping. That a doctor at the urgent care gave me muscle relaxers to take because I was just feeling tingling and numbness and in basically any position, if I was in any position for too long. And so I was having trouble sleeping because of that. And so I was just taking those at night to like help me sleep, and it helped a lot. But I mean, I couldn't drive. Like even without that medication, I couldn't like physically be comfortable enough to drive. And then like I was taking those meds, so I was groggy in the mornings, and it was just like a really, really weird week. But yeah, I went to a chiropractor, and honestly, that chiropractor was very, very thorough in his like analysis. Honestly, more thorough, I feel like, in asking me questions about certain things than like the ER or the urgent care were, which is crazy because it's like a chiropractor, but he was very, very thorough. And I've gone for a few like treatments just to kind of like relax my muscles, and he has some of those like machines that help with like muscle like relaxation and kind of like nerve stimulation and stuff. So I've been going for treatments for that, and I've noticed that they help a little bit, at least to get me to like release tension, because I feel like with some of my my pain in my knee and my like tailbone, like I'm tense and I'm nervous to like sit normal still because I'm worried that it's gonna hurt. And so I'm just kind of like just a little bit tense. My best friend Rocky was so kind, like to stop by last week. She brought me some CBD products. Her mom has like a business, and so she brought me like some like under the tongue like CBD oil to consume to just help with like general inflammation, and then some like body butter to put on like specific areas that were, super, super, super inflamed. I mean, low key, it looked like I got a BBL in like one of my butt cheeks because there was just so much inflammation and probably like fluid built up. It was insane. Literally one of my butt cheeks looked like visibly large, and I was like, too bad it can't look like this all the time. You feel me? But yeah, I mean, the inflammation was like so insane. So I was taking a lot of ibuprofen, and that, did help, but like the pain never went away. And like, it's still in my tailbone and my butt. If I sit a certain way, I like still feel it even with taking ibuprofen. So, I'm not a very patient person. This is like teaching me a lot. It's like a huge lesson for me in life. Testing my patience for sure, because I just want to get back to regular scheduled programming. I want to be able to be active again and just like do everything normal again and not like have to have that on my mind to be worried about it. But I know it's going to take time, obviously. So this is definitely a really big test for my patience. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm going to an orthopedic this week because my knee is still bothering me, and it's cracking a lot, and like I'm feeling kind of pain if I am on that left leg for too long. Even in the shower, if I'm like having to balance on it to like do something, it's like I'm feeling uncomfortable. And my tailbone is still like really bothering me. Like even now it's like a little bit uncomfortable, but I have a little, special donut pillow that I'm hopefully will be able to use. The thing that's tricky is like when you sit on the donut pillow, like your butt cheeks rest on the pillow and then your tailbone gets relief, but my butt cheeks are also in pain, so it's like I haven't been able to use it yet, because it hurts to even use the donut pillow. So hopefully once my bruises on my tush are, calm down a little bit, I'll be able to use the donut to at least relieve the pressure off of my tailbone. But I don't know. I'm hoping that the orthopedic, I'll be able to get more imaging done to see whether my tailbone is fractured or or not. I don't really know if they do much about that, but it would be good to know so that I can know and be prepared at least to like take it easy a little while longer, um and baby it and make sure that I really don't put pressure on it so that I can make sure that it heals properly, and so that it doesn't become a long-term thing. I'm hoping, so far, I don't know yet because I'm still feeling a lot of these things, but hopefully none of these things are long-term. It's just like there's kind of no way of knowing, which is the crazy part. So I'm just praying, meditating on that, and hoping that none of this, none of these injuries are like permanent, or none of them linger after I'm starting to feel better, but we'll see. It's crazy. I've been journaling to try to get, my thoughts about it down, because it's really more of like a mental battle for like the pain and just not being able-bodied, like temporarily, hopefully temporarily. It's definitely made me like reflect on, my prior privilege and like hopefully my future privilege in being able-bodied. It's like I have so much respect for people that have physical disabilities, that have to live in a world that's not really catered to them. There's like I had to go to all these medical facilities and there's like ramps and elevators and things like that, but just like having to sit in a waiting room on a chair that's just like hard plastic was like rough. I've been having to stand a lot, and then that's hurting my knee, and then I feel tingling in my legs and stuff. So it's like it's been pretty gnarly. It's definitely made me reflect on all of that, and I have a lot more sympathy and respect for people that are that have physical disabilities that have to constantly adjust their, the way they do things, and have to learn that, and relearn how to do things because of, to try to figure out a comfortable way to do things. Yeah, in a world that's like sometimes not very accommodating. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say before that I would obviously advocate for people with disabilities, but now I have a different perspective on it, and I see how important it is to advocate for accessibility, and I hate that it took me going through this and having this perspective myself to really have that passionate point of view. But now I really see, and it makes me really reflect on that like, hey, just because it's not affecting me doesn't mean I shouldn't, advocate for something or speak out for other people's struggles. I mean, I'm like that in most instances with oppression and poverty and most social issues, or issues where people are not advocated for when they're at a disadvantage, or not not getting the help that they need or the voice that they need. I would like to say that I've always been, compassionate, but having compassion and just hearing and listening, that's not enough, obviously. It's made me reflect on how I am as an advocate, and that harsh reality that holding space for that and just acknowledging it is not enough. Action is where it's at. And so it's kind of inspired me to maybe get a little bit more involved in my in my community, and in any way that I can help in the future. I should not just sit back and share from a screen, and be involved in person and helping communities that need it. But anyway, that's a whole other rant that I could go on, and that's just a part of my self-reflection that has been this long week of reflection, to say the least. You feel me? I've had a crazy week, to say the least. I do have a few little side note things, shows that I've gotten into. One thing that has helped me get through this crazy week has been watching Gilmore Girls. I've had so many friends recommend that show to me, and it's so freaking cute. It's literally single-handedly gotten me through this week, because while I'm just laying in bed in pain, I've been watching Netflix and just on my phone and playing random games and just admittedly trying to numb that pain a little bit. I have been listening to it and venting and meditating and talking to friends about it and talking to people about it, and journaling. I've been doing that work, which is super necessary, but I've also been trying to give myself the little dopamine that any dopamine that I could take, while I was laying in bed with nothing to do. And Gilmore Girls got me through it. I think I'm almost done with season 1. I can't believe there's so many episodes per season. I think season 1 has 21 episodes. So I think I'm almost done with season 1, just crazy. But I love it. It's super cute. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Gilmore Girls, for getting me through this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. This episode is kind of just me ranting about being hit by a car. But I think I needed to do that. And for people that wanted more clarification on what happened, because I was very, very mysterious and posting. I didn't really post a lot about it. I was very ominous in that realm. So if anybody was curious now, and yeah, wouldn't recommend it, but I'm just trying to stay positive, and at least be grateful that I'm here and that I made it through and that I lived through it and that it wasn't worse, and I've realized that it could have been a lot worse, and I was kind of given a second chance, and what am I gonna do with that? I survived it. It wasn't worse. But it's okay, now what? I'm gonna get better eventually, and then it's okay, you made it through. Now what are you gonna do with that second chance? So it's game time, y'all. Once I'm feeling 110%, it's back to business. I did have to cancel a gig. Unfortunately, I had to miss my gig. But I got it rescheduled. So I'll post the info in the pod bio this week. So hopefully some of y'all can come out and support and hear some new songs. Anyway, I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful week and a fantastic weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.